hear me, give me a thumbs up. Testing, 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 testing. Perfect. If everybody could find a seat, come gather around over here. We're going to get started in about less than 10 minutes. Thank you. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, test, test. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Mic check, test, test. Mic check. Are you guys good? Testing. Perfect.
Check, check, mic check, 1, 2. If you have a seat, please be seated. We will be starting imminently. Please take your seats. If you have a seat, please take your seat. We will be starting any minute now. There's a lot of people. What's that? Hey, good morning. Can everyone please take your seat? If you have a seat, please take a seat. Please take your seat. Thank you. We have some open seats here to my right. If you need a seat, you may take a seat. No. Thank you very much.
Well, good morning. It's great to be in Central Florida. What a great day this has turned out to be. We're excited. Chamber of Commerce. Now, we're here joined by Jared Perdue, who's our FDOT secretary. We also have a local business owner, Jason James, going to talk. Now, when we come to this neck of the woods, a lot of times infrastructure is on the agenda. Anyone that's tried to drive around Champions Gate knows why infrastructure would be on the agenda. And so we've done a lot, particularly over the last few years, to take a lot of money from our budget surplus, we still have a massive surplus, and accelerate a lot of these infrastructure projects that really are necessary to be able to make sure people can get around the state, but particularly in this part of the state. And that's partially about congestion, partially about we don't want families to be in, want them to get back, people to get back to their families and not be sitting in traffic, but it's also a matter of commerce and being able to move goods efficiently and effectively. So there's a lot to recommend. And so moving Florida forward was accelerating projects by between 10 and 15 years. A lot of these things weren't even scheduled to start until next decade. And we said, you know, with the way Florida's grown, that ain't gonna cut it. And I always tell people I'm not begging people to move to Florida because we've got a lot of folks. There's a lot of challenges that come with it. There can be benefits, but people are free to go and move where they want to go. And they've obviously gravitated here for many, many years in really, really big numbers. And I mean, why not? I mean, we do have the #1 rated economy in all of the United States for 2 years in a row by CNBC. And by U.S. News and World Report last year. AAA credit rating from every credit rating agency, #1 in new business formations, fastest growing state in 2024, and we're #2 in real GDP growth since 2019. Idaho is the only state that's more than that, but I think we're about 10 or 15 times the size of Idaho. I was actually there recently. It's a great state. We're doing the balanced budget amendment, and hopefully the Idaho legislature will do what Florida's done and certify that. And so it was great, and they're doing a lot of good things. But when you're at 23.5 million people, having the second highest growth rate in the country, economic growth rate, that's a big deal. That's a big sign of success. And we've also had lower unemployment than the nation as a whole for 52 weeks or 52 months in a row. We're proud of that as well. Now, I think most people who are in Central Florida know we've got a lot of public roads, 12,000 miles of state highway system, and that alone, our public roads, 332.4 million daily vehicle miles traveled each and every day in the state of Florida. We have a big, it's efficient, but it's a big Department of Transportation budget, and you have to manage very many billions of dollars. I mean, we're $15-16 billion for that, and it's important. And right now there's 700 active construction projects across the state. Anywhere you look, there's something happening in the state of Florida. Now, those aren't all road projects. There's a lot of commercial projects. I mean, I was just down in the Sarasota area, Longboat Key. I attended a charity event, and that got hit by 2 hurricanes last year, and you really wouldn't know it. I mean, these people are out there, massive tourism, massive cranes, a lot of stuff happening. And that's really been true all across the country, or all across the state of Florida. Our infrastructure is typically rated in the top 5 in terms of quality of roadways. If you look at like New York, they have really bad roads. You know, they charge you exorbitant amount of tolls, and yet the roads, you get sick just being on them because they're so bouncy. In fact, they want to do congestion pricing in New York City. I know there's a big battle over that, but I mean, like, people pay a huge amount of money every day just to go into work, and yet where does that money go? It doesn't go very far. Here in Florida, we take pride in the quality of the roads. Now, we're always looking to do better, and there's things we're looking to improve on. We also were able to do 2 years in a row, and which was big, I think, in Central Florida. We did the toll relief, 50% reduction in tolls for our commuters on a monthly basis. You know, that saved people over 2 years hundreds of dollars, in a difficult priced economy with all the inflation that we've seen over the years. And so I was proud to lead that effort to help deliver the toll relief for folks. Now, the Moving Florida Forward has been really, really well received. We initially started with $4 billion out of the surplus. We've now delivered a total of $7 billion. So this is everything we were already doing, having a strong transportation budget, all that. We continue to do that. This is on top of that. So there are projects in the queue that are now being brought to fruition that likely wouldn't have broke ground until the middle of next decade. We have at least 20 major interstate and roadway projects that have been expedited through Moving Florida Forward. Addition of regular and express lanes on I-275 in Pinellas County, reduction in traffic delays up to 85%, and helps with hurricane evacuation routes. A redesign of Golden Glades interchange on I-95 in Miami to enhance connectivity between major road corridors in the region. Very difficult area in the state of Florida for traffic. And this is going to be helpful. Very difficult because it's all built out. Reconstruction of the Fruitville interchange on I-75 in Sarasota County to a diverging diamond design. We've showed that previously. You know, these guys study all this stuff and they can tell you what's faster or what's not. So this diverging diamond is going to increase volume capacity by 40,000 vehicles, and it will reduce the number of conflict points between merging vehicles. They also have done studies, you know, every hurricane season, if we do have a storm and people evacuate, we'll always get asked, are you going to do contraflow and shut down one way and make it all one way? And we always say no, because this has been studied and it just doesn't work. Partially because you still need to get people coming into the hurricane zone for first responders, for supplies, emergency. There's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to happen, but they've looked at it and it doesn't work. So the things that they're doing in terms of these designs, these are things that have been vetted. Widening US 98 in Bay County near Panama City Beach. And you guys go up to the Panhandle, you know, I mean, it's amazing how that's boomed, particularly in the last 5 or 6 years, but the traffic can be really, really bad. So that's going to be helpful. We're also going to do the realignment of US 301 from County Road 470 to Florida's Turnpike near the Villages in Sumter County. That's going to increase mobility and reduce delays by up to 94% during peak hours. And last month, I was in Ocala when I announced the addition of new auxiliary lanes to I-75, over 31 miles from State Road 44 in Wildwood to State Road 326 in Ocala. And that is going to be done 10 to 15 years ahead of schedule. And any of you who've gone up 75 north from here, you know how bad that can be. So this is a very important project that we're able to do. So our total investment in infrastructure over the next 5 years is going to approach $70 billion in projects. And most of the focus is reducing congestion and improving the safety of Floridians, which brings us to today's announcement. Last June, we made a promise to deliver congestion relief lanes through one of the busiest sections of I-4 by the end of this year. Not only are we delivering on our promise, but we are going to beat our own deadline. I can announce that the completion of the 2 new, here's the congestion relief lanes. So you look at some of those areas, World Drive all the way into Polk County, Champions Gate, Celebration area. This needs it. I mean, this is a really big deal. So we are pleased to announce that these lanes will run in both directions between US 27 in Polk County and World Drive in Osceola County. They will be open beginning of the week of April 28th, which is 8 months ahead of the schedule that we had laid out. This will be a really sigh of relief, I think, for a lot of people. It doesn't solve everything because we've got a lot of Champions Gate projects and some of these others, Point Siena Parkway, that's all moving, and it's going to be delivered way earlier than had we not done Moving Florida Forward. But in the meantime, this is something that's really, really meaningful. So we're proud to deliver this 8 months ahead of schedule. The economic impact of all of Moving Florida Forward just in the I-4 region we estimate to be over $13 billion because better mobility, easier to commute, all these things, really, really significant. And we're also excited to be able to get the project off the ground quickly and improve the connectivity in the region, as well as connectivity between the entire state. Now, we're advancing several other major segments along I-4, as I mentioned. Poinciana Connector, a critically needed new roadway that will connect I-4 and State Road 429 to the future CFX facility just south of CR 532. This work in this area will be underway. All the while, commuters will have additional congestion relief now once the final project is complete. So this is enhancing connectivity, and I think doing it in a really, really meaningful way. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved in this. You know, we can just sit here and say, oh, we're going to get to it. It'll happen. It's in the hopper, and all this stuff is eventually in the hopper. But what good does it do to break ground 10 years from now? We need to be breaking ground and bringing these projects to fruition now. And that's exactly what this initiative is doing. Today, 8 months ahead of schedule, I think is a welcome announcement. But this is just one of many things that are going to be done to improve connectivity and mobility in and around the dreaded I-4 corridor. Thanks, everybody. Jared, come on.
Thank you, Governor. It's great to be here this morning for this big milestone on the I-4 project. And I tell you, under Governor DeSantis' tenure, there's never been a stronger leader for transportation infrastructure. We have continued to have record funding for transportation. Right now, we're at a $15 billion annual budget. And then just 2 years ago, the governor had this bold idea. Let's take general revenue surplus and advance major congestion relief projects that won't see funding for another 15 to 20 years. That's exactly what we did. He brought $4 billion of general revenue surplus to the table, and we advanced major congestion relief projects all across this state. I-4 is a great example of that. You heard him talk about I-75 in Central Florida and so many others already having a huge impact. We rolled this initiative out 2 years ago, and we're already 70% underway just 2 years into the initiative, and it truly is remarkable and a testament to Governor DeSantis' leadership. So with the I-4 Forward initiative here, we actually were able to fund a $3.5 billion project to completely reconstruct I-4. Don't know when this project would have been funded had it not been for the Moving Florida Forward initiative. It would have been another 15 to 20 years. This is going to be a game changer for the region. I'm sure many of you drove I-4. Getting to this event this morning, it is a parking lot all day. It cannot come fast enough. And as you know, with the governor, he's a very strong leader. He has high expectations. The one thing we have to do is cut through red tape, cut through bureaucracy, and find ways to go faster, which is exactly what we're announcing today with these congestion relief lanes. So we're going to completely reconstruct I-4, but we're going to provide you with additional capacity in a few weeks. They're going to open up, and we will maintain those new lanes throughout the entire duration of construction. It's 8 months ahead of schedule. Truly remarkable. Also, if you look around the state with Moving Florida Forward, we have many other congestion relief projects that are going to have a huge impact with the Golden Glades Interchange in South Florida, Southwest 10th Street in South Florida, several I-75 projects in the Tampa region, and all over the state. You are going to see transportation projects being delivered everywhere you go in the state of Florida, and it can't come soon enough with the economic growth and the population growth that we're seeing all over the state. I'm really proud of the team here with FDOT that's working on this project and our industry partners for finding innovative ways to cut through that bureaucracy and go even faster. I think it's a testament to the commitment and the loyalty this industry has to delivering transportation projects all across this great state. Again, Governor, thank you for your leadership and this Moving Florida Forward initiative. It truly is going to make a big difference.
Thank you, Governor. My name is Jason James. I'm a local Floridian, born and raised here and own a business here. and I can give you firsthand experience and testimony that logistics and infrastructure has a direct impact on our business every day. I started Mechanical One in the how about like that? I started Mechanical One post-pandemic in 2021 with just a couple employees. 3.5 years later, we have over 1,000 employees and over 700 vehicles that use the interstate system every single day. The interstate system is a crucial economic machine and quality of life for all of our residents and visitors and businesses. I wanted to thank the governor for having the vision to push things forward and cutting red tape. Having these timelines moved up have direct real-world impact on local businesses and the community. With that, I thank everyone for today. Thank you.
Well, we're excited about this. The best is yet to come. We're going to continue working really hard to increase mobility, reduce congestion, make sure Florida continue to lead the way. It's important for quality of life. It's also important for our continued economic vitality. And I think it's going to be even more challenge. We've got a new theme park that's going to be opening in May, Epic Universe, which is going to be a huge deal for this region and for the state of Florida. And it's been interesting. I mean, I remember when they announced it, and you kind of think about, oh man, there's going to be some economic impact. Then you actually see it come to fruition. Pretty incredible project, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be beating down the doors to want to go to Epic Universe over at Universal, which is really, really good. Now, I just want to say one thing. So, you know, when you're in this business, you know, you get used to, you know, a lot of baseless attacks. That just goes with the territory. But I do think it's really sad to see manufactured smears against the First Lady and the program that's Hope Florida. Hope Florida is actually an example of government succeeding in lifting people up. And how many examples do we have of that happening? Almost never. But the inside of Hope Florida didn't ask for any money for it for the legislature, didn't need any new policy, but just through the First Lady's initiative that we are going to reimagine the way we provide services to those in need. And so instead of the job of somebody working in these agencies to just try to get people on as many government programs as possible and keep them on indefinitely, we're transforming the role to be a hope navigator, where the job of government is to link those people in need to all the wonderful resources that we have throughout our Florida communities. So we've enlisted the faith-based community, we've enlisted charitable organizations, we've enlisted businesses, and we've enlisted individual volunteers who answer the call when somebody comes in need. The needs go into a care portal, and all of a sudden you have a single mom that doesn't have a place to stay. It's not the bureaucracy that's going to lift her up, it's the church that comes over or the charity that comes over to do that. And what are the results since this has been implemented? We've gotten 30,000 people off welfare and saved the state of Florida $100 million. And so that's a great success story. Now, that's a success story that threatens some people. That's a success story that's going to invite attacks because people have their own political agenda. And I got to tell you, I'm used to the baseless smears from liberal media. I'm used to the baseless smears from Democrats. I've been dealing with it for over 6 years. It's par for the course. But I think now we have Republican leadership in the Florida House joining with liberal media and joining with Democrats to launch baseless smears against Hope Florida and by extension myself and the First Lady. Let me tell you something. None of these Republican leaders got elected on the platform that they were going to launch baseless attacks against the governor and First Lady. That is not why they got elected. Had they run on that, they would have lost their primaries. They would never have been elected in the first place. No, they were elected to continue our success in Florida, to build off the great achievements of the last 6 years. They were elected to cut property taxes, which they refused to do. They were elected to help alleviate and end the condo crisis, which the Florida House has refused to do. They were elected to continue our Florida First agenda. And what are they doing with their actions? Not only are they trying to sabotage that agenda, but they are stabbing the voters in the back with their behavior. Shame on you in the Florida House and your terrible behavior and leadership. Questions? Yes. So the question is about President Trump's plan to dismantle the FEMA bureaucracy and empower the states. Excuse me. So I think the media is not honest about this because he is going to block grant the money to the states. And so we're not going to be left in the cold. But I can tell you that the FEMA bureaucracy is an impediment to disaster recovery. It is not doing a good job. Florida, we don't rely for preparation and immediate response. We don't rely on FEMA. We do it. We lead. We got local partners. We got the best emergency management team from the local, state level, anywhere in the country, bar none, not even close. FEMA, who the hell else could rebuild the bridge in 6 days, 3 days? 3 days was the bridge. So, I mean, of course, we've got that. But, and so that's just how we roll. Now, there are programs on the back end of a storm, individual assistance, block grants, things like that, that really paralyzes the recovery because of the bureaucracy. So we'd be better off getting the block grant and then letting the states administer based on the needs that we have. But too much of this gets hung up in bureaucracy. Our mantra in Florida has been, don't let the bureaucracy grind you down. Make sure that you're responding very quickly. There are times when we spend money to prepare where we don't end up needing some of the preparation. FEMA, you can't get reimbursed. I mean, for example, Hurricane Helene. We had a lot of fuel trucks ready to go in case we had fuel knocked out. It didn't really happen, right? And so we used some, but then the rest, we stored or did what we needed to. But then Milton came and we had the fuel contracts. Well, guess what? It knocked out for a time the Port of Tampa and the port in Bradenton, and so that interrupted the fuel coming in. So we set up gas stations around the Tampa Bay area with our trucks. People could go for free to get them through that 3 or 4 day period as the supply ramped back up. So we do these things. We're nimble, we're quick, we adjust. So empower the states. Give us the resources, and we don't need necessarily the federal government to be involved at all. Now, look, will we have maybe Coast Guard supplement some of our rescue? Yeah, we probably will call on that. But by and large, this is a local and state-driven process. We have the Florida State Guard, the Florida National Guard, Florida Highway Patrol, our sheriff's departments, our police departments, Fish and Wildlife, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. All these people, do a great job. Even the urban search and rescue teams, those are ostensibly under the banner of DHS, but they're basically local fire departments that then get federalized. So those are our people anyways, especially the teams 1 and 2, and we've got folks in Central Florida that do it. So block granting that money to the state of Florida, we will be able to respond more appropriately. Now, some have said, well, what if they don't block grant any money? What if they just get out of disaster management and just say the states must fend for themselves? Well, listen, if that happens, we've got a big surplus. We would have to make adjustments to how we approach things, but I can do that. Just let me know what's in the best interest of the United States. And if it is, the Florida will respond very, very appropriately. But that would obviously require us to change a little bit about what we're doing. But I don't anticipate that being the case. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a block grant of money, maybe not this hurricane season, but maybe in time for next, bypassing the bureaucracy and the red tape, and then let us go ahead and get the job done for our people. Yes. So the question is there any updates regarding the grand jury investigation into State Attorney Monique Worrell? And my answer is I'm not privy to what goes on in grand jury investigations. So I'm not the right guy to ask. Those are secret investigations. That was not an investigation that I am leading. I can call for the Florida Supreme Court to certify statewide grand juries, but that's the extent of my authority that I've exercised. Now, with respect to Monique Worrell, as you recall, I suspended her from office because she was not enforcing the laws as they are written on the book. She had her own agenda, and that was putting the people at Central Florida at risk. I think what happened was she was able to delay this and never went in front of the Florida Senate, where I think they would have found her guilty and removed her permanently. And so she was able to kind of manipulate that. Obviously, it's a very Democrat area, so when you run as a Dem here, you have an advantage. But I will say this, you have a responsibility to faithfully execute the laws of the state of Florida. You do not have the ability to pick and choose which laws you're going to enforce. You don't have the ability or the authority to let the inmates run the asylum. So I know the Attorney General is keeping a close eye on what she's doing. That could end up on my desk if there's proof that somebody is neglecting their duties or satisfying one of the other provisions of the Florida Constitution. Then obviously I could act again. But that's separate from any type of grand jury, and those grand juries are outside my purview. So one, I have no comment on it. But two, even if I knew anything, it wouldn't be appropriate. But two, I don't know anything because it's not something that I have control over. All right, thanks everybody. God bless you.